Hello and welcome back to Gapeys Grow Room. Today we're going to be starting our Annuum pepper seeds, so I thought I would take you along on that journey. We've got quite a few seeds here to get started, so let's get started. All right, we've actually got 19 varieties to start, and I've got 2 of these hex trays from Jiffy. So these are seed starting trays. You can find these on Amazon or some of the big box stores. But this is what I decided to use for the Annuums this year. Normally I use the paper towel method, and I did use that method for the Chinense and Macatum varieties. But I thought I would try this since I've got so many of these to start. I didn't really want to have to deal with the paper towel method. So if you have a ton of peppers like this, I think it's easier just to start them directly in potting mix or seed starting mix. So I'm using Jiffy seed starting mix. And this is my favorite seed starting mix. It's really, holds moisture really well and just is a really fine mix. And I've never had any issues with any bugs or fungus gnats when I use that. All right, so what I did, I'm not gonna put labels in these right away. Some of these are pretty old seeds, so I'm not sure how well they'll germinate. So I'm not gonna bother with labeling them until they germinate. So what I did is used a spreadsheet. This is actually an Excel spreadsheet. You can also use Google Sheets. But I put down all the varieties that I'm gonna be starting in each of these trays. So I have 2 of these trays, and I'm going to be filling 3 cells with each variety. So you can see here I've got Aleppo in these 3 squares, and then I've got Antep Acidulma in these 3. So this is what I'm going to use kind of as a guide on where to plant each thing, and then as they germinate I'll just reference this sheet to see what's come up. Alright, so let's get started here. So also on this sheet, so I'm not going to fill up every cell. I am going to leave a few empty ones, because if I have some bad germination or if I have multiple seeds germinate in one cell, I can always move them to these blank cells. So on the second tray, I'm going to have 2 columns that are completely empty, and I'm going to be doing all of my Mexican or New Mexico varieties in this second tray. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and fill the tray with some of the seed starting mix. And I've got this, I've just got a cookie sheet here to help avoid making a huge mess. So for this tray, we're going to start with the first sheet here. So these 3 cells are going to be left empty. So I've already pre-moistened, just show you my potting mix here. I've already pre-moistened the seed starting mix, and I'll just show you the consistency here. So you want to add enough water that when you squeeze it, it kind of makes a little bit of a squishy noise, but no water drips out. You can see I'm squeezing as hard as I can, and no water is coming out of there. And it holds together pretty easily when you squeeze it. So that is the perfect moisture that you want for your potting mix. All right, so let's go ahead and fill this up. Alright, so our trays are all filled with seed starting mix, and we've got it patted down lightly. You don't want to press too hard. So in each cell I'm going to be planting 2 seeds as long as I have enough seeds. Some of the seeds I think I've only got a few of. But we'll go off of our chart here. So we've got Aleppo in the first 3 squares here on the top left. So I like to use just a little pencil to make some holes in the potting mix here. So I'm just going to put 2 small holes in each of the cells. Alright, so here is our Aleppo. So I got pretty much all of these seeds from seed swaps. The Aleppo I got from Twin Cities Peppers. He sent me some Aleppo pods last year, and I saved the seeds from them. So I'm going to be planting 2 in each of the cells. And then we're just going to use our pencil to push those down into the hole. And then we'll just cover those up lightly. Oop, I didn't have any in that one. All right, and then our next ones here are going to be the Antip acidoma. So, and as I might not have mentioned, but I've never grown any of these varieties that I'm starting today except for 2 of them. So these are pretty much all new to me varieties. So this Antip acidoma, that is a large, kind of a bell-shaped pepper. So all these are Annuum, so they're going to be pretty mild. Some of them are pretty sweet. So I'm growing a lot more Annuums this year than I usually do. And I'll be doing a live stream here in the coming weeks just to go over each of the Annuum varieties that I'm growing this year, and I'll show some pictures and a little bit more about each of these varieties and where I got them from. Now, one thing I'm going to do is I will put one label just in the very first cell, just so that I know which tray this is, so I don't get mixed up. So this one I've already got labeled Aleppo, so that's going to be, so I'll know where to start on my little cheat sheet here. So the next row down here, I've got the Tap de Corti, and that is a paprika variety. So this one originally came from Mallorca, and I can't remember who I got that from, but I will look that up and let you know when I do my live stream. So let's see, I don't think there's very many seeds in here. Okay, looks like we have enough here. All right, looking at our sheet, we have the Hungarian wax is the next one. And these peppers I got from the Modern Day Settler. She grows tons of great tomatoes and peppers and beans. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We have just enough, so I hope these germinate, because this is all that I have of this variety. All right, next up we've got the Thai Orange Hot. So this is from White Hot Peppers. These are some seeds that I got from winning the Pepper in a Can challenge last year. I got, I think, 5th place. And these are some seeds that I picked out with my gift card. Okay, next up we've got Lemon Dream. So the Lemon Dream, these are from Burpee, but I did get these from a seed trade. And these are 2020, so they should be pretty new, and we should get some good germination on these. All right, we're on row number 4, and we've got I'm growing 3 different varieties of the Korean gochu, and the first one is going to be the Lady Han. So the Lady Han I got from Real Hens of OC on Instagram. Ooh. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, we got enough there. All right, and next up, I just have it labeled as gochu because I'm not sure specifically which variety of gochu it is, but it is my favorite variety of gochu, and I got these from Kang Star several years ago, and I've been growing them for the past probably 4 years now. Okay, the next one is going to be the Korean Dark Green. So these seeds are from Baker Creek, but my mom actually sent these to me. I think she grew these last year, and she still had some extras, so I had her send me some. All right, and then next up we have Tinkerbell. So this is like a mini bell pepper, and these were also from Real Hens of OC. All right, so we've got one more left, and this one is gonna be Chloe's Sweet Tangerine. All right, so that is one tray finished. So now what we're gonna do is transfer that into one of these 10 by 20 trays. And this is one that I got from, I believe these are from the Bootstrap Farmer. They're really, really sturdy, so these will last you probably a lifetime. All right. And then we've also got a dome to put over it to keep the moisture in. And these domes are from Greenhouse Megastore. These are a little bit more sturdy than the ones that you can buy at the big box stores or on Amazon. So I really like this one here. And I'll put a link to where I got this stuff in the description of this video. So I'm gonna go ahead and get the other tray going, and I will show you that when I'm done. All right, we got all of our seeds started. So now to make cleanup a little easier, we can take our tray and just take any of the mess that got into the tray and dump it back into our bucket of soil here. So here's our tray. And one more thing I'm gonna do before I put the lid on is I'm just going to give a little bit of a spray with water, just to give it just a little bit more moisture to help with germination. Okay, now we're gonna go ahead and take this over and put it onto a heat mat. All right, so I'm just gonna put these at the bottom of my shelf here. So I've got the heat mat there on the bottom. I'm just gonna put those right on top. And if you're using a heat mat, I highly, highly recommend you get a thermostat with it. Some of them come with one, and others you have to buy it separately. So this is really easy to set. You just hold the set button down and go to the temperature that you want it at. And I'm gonna put it at 75 here. And you can also switch between Fahrenheit and Celsius if you want. And then we've got a probe here. So this probe will control when it turns off and on the heater. Now, if you don't have this, your seedlings are gonna fry, because I've forgotten to put this sensor in the soil before, and the temperature of the seeds got well over 100 degrees and they were no longer viable. So you wanna make sure, if you get one of these, to make sure to use one of these and remember to put it in the soil. So we're gonna go ahead and I usually try to put it somewhere in the middle. So I'm gonna go ahead and put it in this one here. So the seeds, we don't have any seeds right in the middle. We have them kind of spread out in here. So that's why I'm putting it directly in the middle, and hopefully that will be okay. Now what I could do, and I actually may do, is use one of these empty cells, like maybe this one, and put the sensor in there. So actually, I think I'm gonna go ahead and do that. All right, so let's get our seed starting mix and fill up this empty cell here. And we'll just put our sensor right in there. So that way we don't bother any of the seeds. All right, and then we put our dome back on. Now these do not need light to germinate. Anytime you're starting new seeds that you haven't grown before, make sure you look up whether or not they need light, because some seeds do require light and others don't, but peppers do not require light. So we're just gonna leave them here with the light off, and once we see some germination happening, then we'll wanna get them under some lights. So for now, we can have them in the dark. And actually, I'm gonna go ahead and cover it, and this will help hold the heat in as well if you cover it. So this is just a pillowcase here. And then every day, I usually come in here at least twice a day, once in the morning and once before I go to bed, and check on everything, see if anything needs watering. see if any germination has been going on. So I'll be checking these pretty frequently, and I expect they should start germinating within 7 days. So we'll check back in a few days and see if anything's come up. All right, it's been exactly 7 days since we started the seeds, and I was getting a little bit worried because I wasn't seeing any germination. But this morning, we finally saw some germination. So let me show you what we have so far. So we've got some seed sprouts coming out here in this cell. We've got one coming out here, and then another one coming out here. So we've got at least 3 or 4 cells that have started germinating. So we want to go ahead and put these under the light so that they don't get too leggy. So one disadvantage for growing seeds in, or starting seeds in these kind of trays, is that you have to put them all under lights as soon as one starts to germinate. And that isn't ideal because all these others that haven't germinated yet, they're going to be under lights, so that's going to dry out more quickly. So you have to make sure you spray these with water just to keep them moist. So that is one thing that you may want to think about if you use this type of tray to start your seeds. And one thing I'm doing, I showed you before these sheets that I have that show what I've started where. So for the ones that have started germinating, I've put dates on when they came up. So this cell we have today is February 24th, so that is when that one started germinating. And then we've got Chloe's tangerine here that came up, and then we have 2 of the lemon spices that germinated. So I'm going to be checking these every day and marking up my sheet to show when each one germinated. So I'm going to go ahead and get these under some lights now. Now you may be wondering why I don't have the dome on here, and the reason for that is if you have the dome on here with the light on, that's going to cause your soil to get kind of moldy and fungus growth. So I want to avoid that as much as possible, so that's why I took the dome off once I put it under the lights. And that I'm just going to have to be careful and make sure I spritz these with water to make sure that they stay moist. So we'll check back in a few days and we'll see what else sprouts. We're now on day number 9, and we've got quite a few more of these guys that are starting to pop up. We've got 14 of our 19 varieties that have sprouted, so hopefully we'll get a few more of these guys. Some may be taking longer because the seeds are a little bit older. So they're doing really well. I've been checking them a couple times a day, and if I see any where the soil is looking kind of dry on top, then I'll give them a little bit of water using a syringe, but you can also just use a spray bottle. Make that 15 of 19 varieties. I can just barely see here some green sticking out of the soil right here. That's the Tinkerbell. So we have 15 of 19 that have sprouted so far, and more are coming up every day. So I am still filling out this sheet. I'm adding the date that I see a seedling sprout in each of the cells. And this is my Mexican variety sheet, and for some reason some of these are taking a little bit longer. I've got 3 different varieties here that have not yet germinated: the Guajillo, the Zapotec Jalapeno, and the San Juan Silly Pueblo. So hopefully we'll get some of those to come up in the coming days. So I'm going to be leaving those seedlings in that tray for probably at least another couple of weeks, and then I'll go through and separate the seedlings because a lot of those have 2 seedlings in each cell. So I want to get those separated before they get too big. And I like to use some 6-cell large cell trays, and I'll be planting 1 seedling in each cell of that tray. So I'll be posting a video when I get around to doing that, and it'll probably be 3 or 4 weeks. So thanks for watching, and we'll talk to you again soon. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe. You can also find me on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook.